When you're broke, overwhelmed, and tired, building even the smallest cushion can feel impossible or just completely out of reach. But oftentimes, truth be told, you don't need a lot of money and you don't need a lot of effort, but you do need a starting point. So here are a few things that you can do to get started that I guarantee, regardless of your income level, regardless of how little you earn, it's going to be that starting point you need to start building your savings. So the first thing you're going to do is that you're going to challenge yourself, because I firmly believe that when it comes to financial things, unless you've actually challenged yourself and tried something, you really can't say whether or not a particular savings goal is out of reach. So if you've never tried, starting this week, I want you to just move $20 into savings, or go less. Do $10, $15, just do something. No excuses, no negotiating, no talking yourself out of it. Just move the money over with. Because a lot of times, even if you don't put that money into savings, you might end up spending it on something else that doesn't matter. And there is a 90% chance that once you move that money over, you will be just fine. And then next week, I want you to do the same thing. And then the week afterwards, try bumping it up a little bit, maybe $5 or $10, and see how it goes. Even if you're only able to do $15 a week, at the end of the month, you will have $60 in your savings that you didn't have before. The second thing I want you to do, and you don't have to do this every single time that you buy a non-essential, but try and get into the habit. So if you bought coffee today, or maybe you bought lunch, or maybe you got breakfast, whatever you spent on that, I want you to transfer an equal amount into savings. And I especially want you to do this if you haven't put anything in savings this week, not one penny. Because if you had money to spend on those items, that means that technically you have money to save. And you're doing this for a couple of reasons. First of all, savings should always come before treats. And number two, it really helps put your spending in perspective, because there are a lot of people who say that they're living paycheck to paycheck, or that they don't have money to spend. But if you go through and look at their bank statements over the past month, it might tell a different story. The third thing I want you to do this week, which is also super easy, is that when you're out shopping, and it can be at the grocery store, it can be anywhere, before you check out, I want you to take one final look at your cart. And of all the things in your cart, I want you to try and put at least one item back. And whatever the amount is of the item that you put back, I want you to transfer that same amount into savings, because there is a good chance that once you've put something in your cart and you've done a couple of laps around the store, if you come back to some of those items, you might realize that you don't really want them in the first place, or maybe it's something that you can do without, or maybe it's something that you can wait and get next week or next month. You're also going to do a pantry challenge before your next food shopping trip. And this basically involves planning meals based on what you already have in your cabinets. This can be your pantry, your freezer, some stuff that you have in the bottom of the fridge, because a lot of people go to the store, buy things that they never actually prepare, and then the next week they're heading back to the store buying more things just to have it sitting in the kitchen. So instead of doing that and spending more money every week that you don't have to spend, get into a habit of using what you already have. And one thing that I've been doing recently, which has been working out pretty well, is I've been going through, making a list of the things that I do have, and I've been plugging all of that into chat and having it create recipes based on those ingredients. Another thing that you're going to do to help you save money, and this is probably one of my favorite tips, is when you're in the store and you're thinking about buying something, it's an impulse buy, it's unplanned, do not buy the item just yet. Give yourself some breathing room. Sometimes just stepping away and going to another aisle will reveal that, you really didn't want the item in the first place, because now you're second guessing it, or oftentimes you just completely forget about it. So give yourself a breather, take another lap. I recommend waiting at least 24 to 48 hours, because that gives you time to really think about it. It gives you time to compare prices. And sometimes you'll realize that after a day goes by, it's out of sight, it's out of mind, you're no longer thinking about it, in which case you just saved yourself from making another impulse purchase. Another recommendation is to go through all of your subscription services and see if you can cancel like 2 or 3. Because if you can do that, that could easily be a savings of $30 or $40 a month, or maybe more. But don't just cancel. The next thing you're gonna do is the amount that you would normally pay for those subscriptions, you're gonna set up an automatic transfer from your checking account to your savings on the day that those subscriptions would have normally come out of your account. So you're basically saving your savings, and now you're going to pay yourself with that money. And the final thing that you can do, which is really easy, is a bank account challenge. So basically every day you're going to sign into your online banking, and you're going to look at the previous day's ending balance. And whatever the last digit is of that ending balance, you're going to transfer that amount into your savings. So if the last day's ending balance was $3.02, you're going to transfer $2 into savings. But if it was $9 even, you don't transfer anything into savings that day. 9 times out of 10, you're going to transfer that money and not even miss it. And if you can do that for 30 days, you can save up to $270 without breaking a sweat.